Hi everybody, this video is a slightly more condensed version of a live stream that I've recently done with bassoonist Giovanni Battista Graziadio, who is demonstrating for us how to make a reed in a historical style, following historical sources. You're going to see him do everything from the pre-gouged stage by hand all the way to a finished reed, test some reeds at the end of the video. If you're not aware, I am live streaming pretty much every week from the bassoons.ch Facebook page. If you're interested, if you want to support those streams, if you're already watching, then you can buy a reed from bassoons.ch. So here we are, and take it away, Giovanni. Brontosaurus!
Hello everybody. As you can see here, I am working on a piece of cane which has been just pre-gouged, and now I am gouging farther with the gougers. Here I have 4 different ones which have different shape. How can we call this, Andrew? Different kind of curvature.
Yeah, different curvatures.
Yes. And I'm working this piece of cane on a bed, which has been done with the same gougers I am holding, so you can actually do it yourself. I quite destroyed this one, and actually this was a gift given to me by Donna Agrel. But it's very simple to do it. You can just glue 2 pieces of wood, one here, and then gouge the bed in the best way you think. And usually it has to respect or reflect the curvature of the wood you use. So if you use big diameter tube, then you need a bigger curvature also in the bed. So what I do before working the cane is to soak it in boiling water for at least from 5 to 10 minutes boiling, and then I turn it off, and then I wait the cane to sink at the bottom of the pot. And this it's something I've been doing, and I learn it from for example, people that are used to play in a script reeds like Jeremy, Papa Sergio, and I found it very, very practical because you are secure that the bark is not rigid anymore as it would be when it's very dried, and that all the fibers of the cane are completely soaked. And so when you work it, there are less possibilities that you break the cane and then waste your time. What I do at the beginning is work more on the side of the cane. So really trying to take as much as possible from the side and try to leave a center part with more wood, even though we will work that too. This is very important because when you fold it, if you haven't done that properly, then you don't manage to do it because it breaks. So you really need to to work very well these sides. And Ozzy says that the work should go on until more or less you have a thickness on the whole piece of cane around half of a millimeter. He says a quarter of a line, and I have the measurements translated in centimeters from the lines that Ozzy indicates, because they're based on fractions of the thumb of the king in around that time, so the end of the century.
A question, Giovanni.
Yes, please.
Google does a conversion between ling and centimeters.
Yeah.
Is that not correct?
Well, the point is that around the 1800, the thumb of the king was, I think I have to look it up, but it was 2 centimeters 54. So I mean, according to different king, you have different different measurements, and so around that time, if the thumb of the king was 2 centimeters 54, after I can check better, then the translation in centimeters of the cane you should use, the length of the cane you should use is almost 12 centimeters. Mm-hmm. So when it's folded, it's around 6. I don't know if I was clear enough.
No, that's very clear. Thank you.
So,
also apologies to anybody watching. I need to get a real camera stand because the table is shaking every time you scrape.
Sorry.
No, it's my fault.
Another important thing, and also someone may be very, very scandalized by the fact that I'm using very warm water to soak the cane. It's not that I like a tea made out of cane. It's just that in that way I'm really sure I have the right softness of the cane. And for example, we know Almereder in his treaty in 1843, Die Kunst des Fagottblasens, he says that a good cane is the cane that you can prove it with the fingernail proof. You know, that you can leave a dent, what can I say, a little sign on the bark, and here you can, especially after, I don't know if you can ever see the.
You're holding it a little bit too close.
Okay.
Bring it down, and there we go.
Yeah, here there is a line I made with my finger.
Yes, we can see
with
it.
My nail, sorry.
Yeah.
That cane is of the right hardness or the right softness. I don't know how would you like to put it, because he was a bit concerned by the fact that the cane around in that period was too hard and you could not make anything good out of it.
1 second, Giovanni. Pablo, just to answer your question, 120 Etienne Ozy is writing in 1803, I believe. Mm-hmm. So therefore, if you measure up reeds that function with the bocal, which is of that time, mm-hmm. often the cane is about 120 or just a little bit longer, and not 140. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's almost exactly what was said. Yeah. It's a bit shorter than what I am, because this is 140, right?
Yes.
So it's a bit shorter. So I would like to check the light where I'm going. Yes. It is important. Never here there should be a stop. You should leave it, or you should stick something here,
right?
So that the cane doesn't do this, you know, so it stays like this. And so that you can always work with the blade of the gouge in front of your fingers and never like this, because then you cut yourself. But these are maybe obvious things, but it wasn't obvious for me the first time, so I just said it. So as you can see in the middle, let me see.
Yeah, just hold it there for a second, and the camera should focus.
Or maybe a bit up.
Oh, and put your hand behind the cane.
Um,
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Maybe you can see that in the middle there is a kind of spine now.
Yep.
And now I am going to work inside with another tool, which is this one. Yes. Is it
Not quite. If you, yeah, there we go.
Yeah. This, how can we call this? Scraper?
It's a scraper.
Yeah. I think this you can buy easily online. So I bought it online. And basically what we do is this, especially in the middle part of the cane. So hope you can see this well. Just in the middle part.
Aha, so you're actually taking cane from the center channel.
Yes.
Aha, okay.
Is it moving everything now?
That's fine.
You can see I'm taking out
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
But this scraper in and of itself isn't very, very sharp, is it?
No, not really,
Okay.
but the blade is like this.
Yes, okay.
So it cuts. It's scraping more than cutting.
Right.
Right? Yes. And this helps to to make everything a bit more even, more regular. And then you always have to put a bit again in the water when it dries too much. And then you start doing tests to see how far did you get. And basically you need to turn it a bit more than what I'm doing now. There's still too much material, still too hard. So I have to continue.
And this is, of the pieces I provided you,
Yeah.
This is the softest piece, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just still too much. Yeah, it's still too thick. Of course, if you can start from quite thinner pre-gouged cane, you have less work in front of you. But it's also nice to deal with a piece of cane with more material, because you might realize while working that you don't need to take out too much if it's too soft.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it takes more time.
Mm-hmm. Trondolaf. Hello. In general, which hardness do you find works best for inner scraped reeds? Giovanni.
Well, I measure this by doing this, how do you say, this movement, you know, if I can turn it like that without breaking it, I have reached the right hardness. But for example, David Rasher gives some indication about this in his article, and he indicates from 0.4 to 0.5 is a good hardness, at least according to the description of Almerader. So we are getting really there, as you can see. It is possible that you can make this more clear, more systematic, but to be honest, I never measured. When I reached something I really liked, I never measured the hardness of the material I was using. So perhaps it's something can be done in the future. Maybe Andrew, you can help me with that.
Well, what I would say is I would probably begin with cane, which you can't see me. Which, if you pre-gouge it, and coming out of the pre-gouger itself, whether the cane is wet or dry, if you see that the fibers of the cane are basically tearing against the knife, rather than having a clean cut from the pre-gouge stage, I would collect those pieces, and I would begin by working with those. There'll be some which are the fibers themselves will be very stringy and will peel away from the edges of the length of the piece of pre-gouged cane, and those ones I think are probably not going to turn into finished reeds. But anything which looks like the cane is tearing is obviously too soft for your modern style bassoon reed. I would start there and weigh the cane, density test it, whatever, and then go from there and narrow the results down from that end.
Yeah. So what I'm using and what I'm doing now is to sand a bit the inner part of the cane with I think some of you knows this. This is called equisetum, and this is also what Ozzy suggests to use when you want to refine, polish or make a very smooth. If you want to smooth the surface inside the cane, at that time you could use many things, but for sure not the sandpaper of today, which I also use. But this time I wanted to show this and to use this because this is actually very nice. It can be compared to a very fine sandpaper, and it works quite well, and it's free. You can just collect it.
Could you give me the name again of this?
It's called equisetum. You can find it everywhere in nature in Europe, and you collect it during the beginning of summer, middle of summer. Equisetum or horsetail, I don't know, there are many names for it. It's good for many things. You can make a tea also out of it. But it was used also by violin makers, furniture makers in the past to sand and make the surfaces very smooth.
So Dutch rush.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nadina.
Yeah. Well, of course you can just use sandpaper.
Aha, so you sand it along the length.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can actually, you see every segment of this plant, which has then some kind of spikes, leaves, which are in having this pike form. I don't know how, pine form. I don't know how to describe them. They're like needles, but they're very soft. So.
Hi, Donna. Donna's watching.
Hi, Donna. You can cut the equisetum along these marks and open it up as like a paper.
Right.
And then put your finger inside and then work like this. This actually I didn't collect myself. I bought it from Stefan Panzer, and so I'm using like this. I find it also very useful. What is nice is that okay, you have to, of course, you have to wet the plant, otherwise it doesn't work. Well, what is nice is that it really works like a file, and it makes this kind of I don't know, like leather marmalade, which makes everything very compact inside.
Yeah,
I like it. So let's see. Yeah, we're getting really there.
So you're actually bending it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Beyond 180 degrees.
Yeah. And yeah, sometimes it can break on the side, like in this case, but you usually then you take this off when you shape it.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
And even if it's breaking, because you know there can be invisible cracks inside, I have prepared another one in case.
Excellent.
When you arrive to this stage, you then have to find the middle. And where is the ruler? Yes,
It's there you go.
So this is, we said it was 1400. Yeah. Yeah. And then let's try to make a mark. Well, if it's not precise, then you can anyway make it. Okay, I can see very well. Yes.
Nadina, I'm going to pull it up, and you can tell me if it's the same one. But the one that we both know is from 1803.
Yeah, I'm trying to make an incision which is not too deep. But yeah. And then, if we're lucky, when we press it against the blade, it's going to just bend and not break, but anything can happen. So, yeah. Now, when you arrive here, you can shape by hand your reed. And I would suggest, if you like to do that, I really draw it on the how can we call this, Andrew?
On the bark.
On the bark, but no, on yes, on one side, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
On one side of the bended piece of cane, and then you follow with the knife the drawing. I find it very entertaining, but as we know, most of the time we don't have so much time. And if we have a shape that we like, why not to use the shape? So I really use the shape, and I do it faster, and of course it's something I'm used to, because what is difficult, and I don't say this is not possible, it's a bit more difficult and requires more practice, is to be consistent when you shape the reed by hand, basically. But you can do as you like. But at the end, the result is comparable. For example, here, now that I fold it, I noticed I left too much cane here, but this we can...
Can you keep it where it is, but then just turn it more, horizontal against the camera? Can you twist it a little bit more to your clockwise? Sorry.
Clockwise?
Yeah.
All right.
So it's off center, too thick, just a bit on the right side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But we will work on it.
So you will go back from the shaping to the gouging to make a correction if you want to.
Yes, of course you can. You open it and then you work inside, or you can then, since you have to open it and work under the bark, to just work on the tip.
Right.
So put it in the water again. So
look at that, shaped.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it by hand, but why not to use a comfortable shaper tip when you have it? For example, here is not precise, and then you can just get rid of the little imperfection.
Sorry, Giovanni, you said something about double-sided, and I missed that, and now David's asking double-sided for different cane diameters, but I don't understand.
Double-sided?
Sorry, David, could you elaborate? Sorry, I missed that. And Michelle asked, what shape are you using?
What shape I'm using, yeah. In this case is B1, because I'm used to play on this shape, but it can be any. After I can show you my different kind of historical scraped reeds, and they all have different shape. Some of them are handmade, some others are just the standard ones we can all access to.
Sorry, I was reading out something. David was referring to another comment and not something you said. So
okay.
That has something which is double-sided.
Okay, double-sided.
It's a gouging bed, I think. If
I understand
that correctly. One for historical and one for modern bassoon reeds.
Yeah, then the one for modern bassoon reeds has to have a different curvature.
Exactly.
Yeah. It has to be
narrower or smaller diameter.
Yeah. Exactly.
And sorry, may I ask, your current bed diameter, what is that roughly?
It's the one of my biggest gouge.
Okay.
And this was, as I told you before, a gift by Donna Agra. So
we'll have to ask her.
We have to ask her.
Okay.
But in the end, you can modify it.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Because this is not pine, but the other kind of wood, which
softwood.
Softwood. You can. Now, when we arrive here, there is the ring moment, the two rings moment, and
the wires.
Wires. Yes, it's because in Italian we call them ring. You can use the iron. So
this is straight up iron wire.
Yeah.
Suggested by OZ, is that right?
Yeah, and the thing is, with the time you get rust, and sometimes we would like to avoid that if it's possible, of course. But the thing is that you need to shape the ring. I can show you one reed made like that.
Shape it before it goes on the reed.
Yeah, you have to shape the wire before it goes on the reed, and you have to squeeze it in from the bottom. Yeah, you squeeze it and then you push it until it stops. Exactly.
Right. Okay.
So you need a different mandrel,
an
oval mandrel with a diameter that is increasing, because of course you have to have two different kind of wires. that's something you can do, and then when you destroy the reed, you can also
reuse the
use the wires.
Uh-huh.
But I found out that rust is nasty, so I also even tried to use this kind of wire which doesn't get rust because it's mixed with zinc, I think. But then you see it's too flexible.
Okay.
And you cannot make it harder by pulling it. So I basically use brass wire 0.7.
Right. 0.7 millimeter brass wire.
Yeah.
That's 21 gauge wire for anyone in the USA.
Yeah. I found it very practical, so...
One question relating to the zinc wire. Is the zinc wire even more flexible than the 0.7 millimeter brass wire?
It is more flexible, yes.
Okay.
And the thing is that you can do this on brass. You know, you can pull it and make it more steady. And on the zinc you can't. It stays always fluffy.
Okay. So would I understand correctly, talking about the strictly iron wire, that when you, let's say you form the wire on the mandrel and then you put it on the reed, as you push the wire up into the tube and eventually to its position, is the reed naturally going to form a tube by itself? Or is that only when you put the mandrel inside the cane, the tube?
No. It's already the more you push it in, so going up, the more here is also opening.
Right.
It's
so that in itself, just putting the wire on, is going to form the tube.
Yeah, and of course then you finish that with a mandrel.
Right. Okay.
Because you cannot really. It's so hard that you don't modify. Is the wire that modifies and gives the mouth shape here.
So actually the mandrel for the wire becomes very important.
Yes, it is very important.
Okay.
And it's something that Ozzy doesn't show, and his book doesn't give us any reference of it.
How tight is the brass wire at the moment?
It's quite tight. Especially this first one has to be quite tight.
Okay.
And then I already put the second one. So Ozzy says that this should be, the first wire should have a diameter of almost a centimeter. Always with that calculation I can give it to you. Okay, so we arrive here.
Yes. And can you hold it sideways for a second? Not 90 degrees rotated forwards. Okay, so unformed.
Yeah, and since we are not using the iron wire, here it's really necessary to use the mandrel to give the right opening.
Right.
Okay. Ozzy also clearly says that we have to mark and cut the bark. Sorry, I was just wanted to make this even. Yeah. To mark the bark and with signs which goes from both sides. He describes it in French, but it's visible then in the picture he gives of the reed.
Yes, I can find that and put it on the screen.
Yeah. So this kind of signs. Yeah. this should prevent the cracks to go farther up on the cane. And then we can either cut here or make incisions on the bark. So when we put the mandrel inside, we get easily the round shape, the round tube.
Okay, so Giovanni, do you want to just hold on 1 second?
Yeah.
I'll let you finish that, and then we'll just go to my split screen so we can just see Ozzy's.
Yeah.
So here we go. And here's the last page of Ozzy's treatise, 1803. And we can see there, although Giovanni you can't, is the crosshatch scoring, as well as the straight scoring. And just like Giovanni has done, the wires are both, the knots of the wires are both facing in the same direction. So let's go back. All right, here we are. So it looks just like it does in the photo.
Oh, can I make it straight? Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Very nice.
Okay. So, mandrel, which I hope I have with me. Yes. Maybe we put some water. Yes. Okay. What I usually do is to insert just a little bit, and then really nasty way do this.
We can hear it crack, crack,
Yeah,
crack.
yeah. Okay, and then I push it more.
So you're really not worried at the lower end that it just cracks away?
No, because it does. Because I didn't make the cuts. Sorry.
Yep. Right. So there are two cracks on one on each side, but
Yeah.
they haven't gone all the way up.
No. So this reed has a rather long tube and also a rather long blade, and this we can modify. And as also suggests, we could start instead of 1400 from 1200 piece of cane. But this is also according what kind of instrument you are playing and the way we're playing vocals. So
right. In the case, if you're making a reed for yourself, what would you do now?
it depends. If I for myself, it would be like this, more on the Aussie side.
Right.
Can I? So smaller. Shorter, not smaller, shorter. Yeah. Okay.
Once again, feel free to ask any questions. I'll just relay them on. If you're joining us now, I can see everything that you're writing, so just feel free if you have a question.
Okay, now when we arrive here, we Aussie says put the thread with the wax and in a very steady way, very tight, and that's it. And I find it a good possibility and fast possibility, and I did it here, for example. But the thing is that then when the reed is done, we have to always keep something inside, like a little manual. In this case, it's just a piece of plastic used in golf game. I don't know what's the name of this.
I think it's called a golf tee.
Yeah. And yeah, all the time. And also when you soak it in the water, you have to soak it with this. Otherwise, this just collapse. If you put in your reed box without anything, it just collapse because it has no tension to all the shape. So I asked myself, why not to put something to help this and to be more practical on the practical side. It is true, if this wire is missing, the reed is more free in all sense. So it's really more flexible and more more sensible to the weather, to the way of playing, to humidity, and it can be a good thing, but also a limitation, especially in our day, during our normal concert life, where you're moving to a place to another with taking flights, train, and then arrive and play. Yeah, it requires extra care. So I decided to just put a little wire.
Different.
Yeah.
Sorry, one question here from Bernat. One question.
Yes.
Do you use a different shape for historical reeds compared to the one you use for modern scraped reeds?
No, I use always more or less the same shape.
Right. And I would also say the same thing from my, especially from classical bassoon playing. My shaper is based off of the reeds that came with Donna Agrell's original Grenzer bassoon, and they're all a bit different. But in terms of size, the reed I make is a modern scraped reed, but the shape and the length are roughly the same as the historical examples.
So I put this one single wire here. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And this helps to hold the shape. So this shaper tip I'm using and then ends up having this very small tube. This can be also limitation. So you really need to be good by hand shaping or to find the shape you really like to play and that you're really comfortable to play. But this can be a limitation.
Question from Trond Olaf. He uses a mandrel from Stefan Ponsier for historical bassoons. He asks, what mandrel do you use?
I have two, actually. A smaller one, this from Rieger. And the other one I am holding in my hand. It was written something like Lucian or something. I bought it on
Lucia or Lucian. Okay.
I don't remember. I bought it online. And
okay,
I liked
so it wasn't specifically historical.
No, I think it was more for contra or something.
Okay.
Yeah. So we go on,
and also, sorry, just to interrupt one more time. The vocal you use is the Peter de Koning Prudent vocal, is that right? And which is abnormally large in diameter compared to other historical bassoons.
That's right.
So, yeah.
I usually use a bit of glue, which of course it's not what Ozzy says, but at least this part of the reed is a bit more tight and doesn't leak. And then when I put, you can just use wax or historical glue if you like. You can even do glue at home if you like. There are recipes online everywhere now. or just you melt this beeswax, and that's it.
Michelle asks, could it be Solution, the mandrel? Solution by Patrizzi.
I don't know this mandrel.
No, I mean the one in your hand.
Yeah, probably is that one.
Okay. Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah, thank you. And I would just say use the mandrel you're used to.
Yeah.
Because you're secure that it's gonna fit.
And so you're not making the turban, so to say. You're just going around.
Yeah, the turban, I do it a bit.
Okay.
Because it's more comfortable when you want to take the reed out from the bocal, and also if drops on the floor, it's always good to have the bottom part of the reed with more weight than the tip part. we all know this problem, right?
Yeah.
Well, I also have this kind of reed, Inniscret reed with normal.
Yes, the design, yeah.
With normal design, and this is also with iron, just as you like. Okay, so
Okay, what's happening now?
I'm just making how do you say, a knot?
A knot.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I was like, what?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Where is the knife? Yeah. Okay. And then I would put also some glue externally, so it's really also a bit more waterproof.
And you don't have a problem with this glue if you hold the reed in your hand after it's dried, it doesn't get sticky again, does it?
No, this is, it dries quite faster. It's normal old blast, it's called. Yeah, something like that.
Adria says he'd recommend the mandrel of Andante Rondo. He says the diameter and size is useful. It's the one he uses. That one is much more... Oh no, not... I don't know how to say that. Conical.
Okay.
Than many would use. Many use a more... Oh no, what's the opposite of conical?
Convex?
No. Sorry, that is the opposite. I mean, where it's... Oh no, the bore is the same thickness all the way through.
Cylindrical.
Cylindrical, thank you. Wow. This is just the re-channel here, everybody. Yeah, so many of us use a more cylindrical, but Andante and Rondo does offer a more conical solution. So,
when you arrive to that, I start to work the tip. I use this very stupid knife, but it's just, you can use whatever.
Well, you don't ruin your metal knife.
Well, my metal knife doesn't cut anymore, so I have to sharpen it. But I like this very cheap knife. It's just a ceramic knife you can buy very easily in these do-it-yourself shops.
Right. And so the tip has not yet been cut.
No. No. So I am just taking out the external part of the bark.
Profiled.
Yeah, which yes, which is the part that doesn't vibrate. Is the not elastic part of the cane.
Yes, Annie. I think the correct vocal command would be, "This cane is hard."
Mm-hmm.
How'd you get so tough?
Love it.
What is the internal diameter of the tube at the butt end?
We have to check.
Well, I think you could do that by just measuring the thickness of the mandrel, no?
Exactly. Yeah. The just the diameter of your mandrel. How long has to be the scrape? We will discover later. So
Okay.
just now I am doing something medium that arrives more or less at the half of the blade.
Aha, okay. So, and the blade you measure from the first wire in this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then we see how farther we should go.
Okay. So in this historical way, if we're using loose skinner terminology, the bond length is the blade.
In general, I discovered that more vibrating surface you have on the blade, more noisy the reed is gonna be. So you have to decide how you want to do it, or also how it works, because sometimes it doesn't work in any other way than make a very huge vibrating surface. And to expand the vibrating surface on the blade, you have to take more bark from the side of the reed.
Giovanni, I think now's the moment where I'm going to put a graphic on your screen, which the public is going to be able to see as well.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about this as you work. So here's the graphic. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So what are you trying to make right now?
I'm trying to do figure 1.
Mm-hmm. My question to you, this is, well, the source is on the screen. My question to you is this simply a matter of profiling from the outside, or is this also affected by the pattern of the gouge?
I think it's affected by the shape also at the same time, and also how much you gouge inside. You know, since I left quite a bit really in the middle, I really concentrate to gouge more in the middle here now. Sorry, I have to hold it in a way.
And put your right hand behind the reed, and it'll focus.
Right hand behind the reed.
Or your left hand now. Just hold it up behind the reed.
No, here.
Your left hand. No, hold the reed in your right hand, and then put your.
This is my right hand.
Sorry, your right hand. Bring your left hand up.
Yeah.
And the camera will focus on your hand, and then also with the reed.
Okay.
Yeah, this is good.
So what I'm trying to do is to work really here.
Yeah.
So like figure 1, because here was where I left more wood.
Right.
So in the end, the more you have these two part of the blade parallel, more noise you have. That's what I was saying before.
Aha, okay.
So if you want to reduce the noise, then you have to make sure that at least on the side of the reed,
Yep.
you have less vibrating surface by taking out really these edges or just reducing it.
So what you're saying is that figure 2
Figure 2 is very noisy
and bright, buzzy.
and bright.
Aha, okay. And so figure 1, you're actually dampening the sound by keeping the material on the side edges.
Yeah.
Aha, okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's a good tip for anybody listening.
And also, I mean, all treatises, or even Otzi, is, I mean, Almereder is saying, oh, please don't use too hard cane, so the fingernail proof. But also, he says, watch out, the cane can be very spongy, and spongy cane is not good. And what is spongy cane? It's still a question to me.
1 second. Each figure actually is a different form of the 3 most commonly found original reeds from the 18th century. So these are actually measurements which have been taken from 3 specific reeds existing by Paul White. And I think they were in the Henk de Wit collection originally, but they signify the 3 most common profile types of the 18th century.
Yeah. It's funny when Ozzy says to work the tip of the reed as a feather with the glass piece, like.
Yes.
While I am wildly working on it.
Yeah, he says to cut the tip as if you would sharpen a quill.
Yes.
And there's an encyclopedia article in France, the late 18th century, about how to sharpen a quill, and that's actually demonstrating that you hold the reed upside down, put your thumb against the tip of the blade,
like
and
this.
then cut downwards. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And carve. Yeah. So sorry to finish. Yes, there are 3 independent reeds which are finished and not stages. They are all finished reed examples.
Mm. So we're getting to the moment to open it and to see if this reed will ever do any good, any better. And Ozzy says to use a very good blade and then to hammer without any excitation on it, so that the cut is very precise and everything. And already all his recommendation put me so much anxiety that I decided to use just a normal cutter, which I have somewhere. Where is it? Can't find it really here. Maybe I left it, or maybe I can use this
You
one.
can use my guillotine.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Oh, one last question before you cut the tip off. Stephen Fuller, hi Stephen. He says, "Are you looking to create a heart within the area that the bark has been removed from? So that center area, is that actually thicker where you've started to profile in the middle, or are you actually trying to make it thinner in the center against the sides?"
Maybe I can put it.
I from what I'm observing you doing, I understand that you're not making a heart. You're trying to do the reverse.
Yeah, I'm trying to do a duck mouth, more or less.
Right. Yes, so Stephen says the diagrams seem to indicate that there is not a heart, and I think, Stephen, you're right.
Yeah.
We're doing the opposite. And in fact, because the bark is staying on, it's having the reverse effect than what we would intend with a modern scrape.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Everything's backwards.
Yeah.
And how much did you cut off just there?
Just the tip now. Just really edge. Maybe
Okay.
I didn't even open it. No, I did.
Okay, so really just as little as possible.
So
Aha.
there is still too much.
Okay.
It's too high.
Right.
So let's continue.
Do you want a... So no plaque inside?
No, because the how do you call it? We call it in Italian. We call it little tongue. that thing. Or either you have it really flat, like for example, this one.
Yeah. The plaque?
The plaque. Yeah. Very flat, like really flat.
Okay.
Or nothing.
Right.
Because so it's less shocking for the read every time to have something inside it. Pull it out, and I mean it's quite something.
We're almost there.
Yeah, hopefully.
I have a good feeling about this.
Let's see. I see it's very Can you see how this works so nicely? It's just fantastic.
It's interesting. It's the way that you scrape is maybe using the... Sorry, is it equisetum?
Equisetum.
Equisetum, you scrape along the length of the grain.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. That's how I've been using it. So,
right.
And perhaps you can use it in many ways, because I've just seen violin maker that they open this,
yeah,
and then they roll it. They open up and then they put the figure inside and then they use it like this. So that's why.
Okay.
But maybe it does it. Yeah, that works. But like this, I have to say it works less. But like this, it's really incredible. As you can see.
Yeah.
So, where is I'm going to open it a bit. Let's see how far we got.
I have a very special video for when this works.
Yep. Still.
It's alive.
Yeah.
Life! Life, do you hear me? Give my creation! Ah!
I've been waiting for 6 weeks to use that one.
So if you work well, you don't get this as I did. You, for example, you have a tube which is,
There we go. Yeah.
completely regular and not irregular like the one I did now.
Right.
But imagine, even it could be even worse if there was not even that ring I put inside here.
Right. Right. It could be a lot less
Yeah.
even.
Let's see.
But you don't need that low B flat anyway.
Well, of course, you also don't want to stress it all in one time. You also need to let it rest a bit.
And you find it gets harder to play tomorrow or the next day?
No, now I think now you should just play this, read.
Okay.
And then work it a bit more the next day. But now it's not hard at all, actually. You would have tried it if we were not in a pandemic.
That's true.
But I'm negative, so just so to say, I just did a test. I'm positive, but negative. And our blade here. I would like to have it a bit more thin, but I will show you. So the mouth I got is a bit like this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You can carry it a bit closer to the camera. So it's a little bit open on the sides.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you can also have things like this that when are dried are like this.
Completely closed.
Yeah, but now I can soak and then you see the result.
Right.
Or things like this.
Yeah, so open a little bit on one side.
No, then they settle
Yeah.
a bit. Not that they don't overlap well anymore.
Right. And would you keep them like that? Or
Yeah.
would you shave away the excess cane? On
No,
the sides?
because it's the way they settled. So
Right.
and they work. So we can make a crown also on this.
And so even when you soak them, you keep the golf tee inside.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. Or you do this nice mixture between the old way and the new way.
Right.
The old way. What I always like to say, there is no old or new. There's only something that works or not.
Very good.
And what else? Or for example, so these are for example hand shaped, as you can see. Very different. Shape.
Yes.
Here I put extra wires. Here I just put two.
Mm-hmm.
You can experiment with these things. You can even do inner gouge and profile outside.
So is this using a profiling machine?
This is profiled inside. Gouge inside and profile outside with a profile machine.
Uh-huh. So you did the internal scrape,
Yeah.
increasing towards the center of the
Yeah.
pin.
I don't know if you can see the light coming out. No, it's very
I
difficult.
mean, we can see it if you put it in the shadow a bit. Yeah, like this. We can see it.
Mm.
Yeah.
I put it in the water, maybe then it's more visible. So for example, let's see what we have done here. So the one that has a very parallel surface is still too parallel to be played.
It's a little bit too close to the
Yeah.
camera.
But others, like for example this one,
So you want to put your fingers right at the tip so that it focuses on the... Yes,
mhm,
very nice.
this is, it's not overlapping very well.
Mm-hmm. He's taking out the bassoon.
Just to see how it goes. For example, what else? Perhaps is nice to see how it could work two ways. So inner scraped with
Profiling machine.
profiling machine. It's a different sound because here you use, of course, you have to use more meat than bark,
Mm-hmm.
right? More white part than bark, but you can still see the three different color of the cane.
Yeah, there seems distinctively three
Yeah.
layers there.
Exactly. And what else? We
Yeah.
have
Nadina asks, do you use conically shaped sharpening stones for your chisels, for gouging chisels?
right. No, but because if I need to sharpen them, I bring them to someone that knows how to do it.
Aha. Okay. So
No.
you go to a pro.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an art also that. And this is with iron wire,
Yep.
and I put this modern.
Yeah. Traditional turning on
Yeah.
in the string.
Only that's the only thing.
Yep.
Yeah, you can listen in the moment that you use more the bark, you have more possibilities in both sides. So
Right.
the bright side and also in the dark side. Where is...
So the quality of sound is more flexible.
Yeah, it's flexible and it's according how you shape the cane and how you work the tip. So this was the other example I showed you of very parallel scraping of the tip.
Okay.
No, I mean that the scraping brings you to parallel blades.
Yep.
Okay. And now going to see how they sound. So you really can hear the difference, or what we were saying before. The more vibrating surface you have, the more noisy you get.
So this is sorry, before you play. This is number 2. More
Yes.
closer to number 2.
Yes.
Go ahead.
You can really, and you can maybe I can show. So here there are just 2 wires.
Just bring it down a little bit more. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And bring it down again. Yes. Right.
Okay.
And the reed is generally flatter than some of
Mhm.
the other ones.
Exactly.
Right.
And these are more classical reed, I would say. I use it on the classical. Also, the shape is a bit different.
Yep. Classical being a Grenzer or a French model?
I can't say.
Okay.
I got inspiration by some originals that Donna showed me.
Oh, I see. So this is like a copy of...
Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing is that I put this wire more than 2 times or like 3 times.
Right.
Yeah, this is for my classical bassoon, not Baroque bassoon really. But you see what happens then at the mouth. It's really another thing. It's more...
Do you put the fingers at the tip of the reed? Exactly. Perfect.
something we are more used to.
And pull it downwards a bit. Yes. So that's more traditional tip opening.
But still in the scrape.
Yep. Right.
And last one, where is this? Yes. This is more a Nazi copy with the measurement that Nazi gives.
Okay.
I don't know. So the tip. It's very irregular, the mouth, because I also got a bit irregular rings.
Right.
This is also good for my classical bassoon rather than this one. So it's very resistant on the low register. But so let's see how he's doing the reed we did.
And then we'll just finish up.
Yeah. It has a future, I think.
Yeah.
But I cannot swear.
Very good. Another reed success story.
Yeah?
Oh, another reed success story? Oh, wait. Another reed success story.
Where's your head?
Okay, there we go. Actually, I'll ask you one or two more questions.
Yes.
Actually, Giovanni. When you're testing your reeds, is there anything in particular about your instrument, for example, a Peter de Koning Brunel? Is there a test that you would make, or a bad note or a good note, which you would want for sure to know that the reed is capable of playing?
Yeah, B flat.
The low B flat.
No, the low B flat, it's not here.
Right.
In my dreams, yes. But and I try to do the open position, just
The fork fingering with no thumb.
yeah. Then, if this is more or less there is hope, you know.
Right.
Yeah. This is the note I know I have to check all the time.
Okay. So that's a problem note, but a note you need.
Yeah, because there are notes that are not on this instrument who plays predominant notes, like the low D. But with the time you use your fantasy and then you get there little by little.
Right.
But apart of that, yes. There are no specific problems, at least on this instrument. So on the B flat, I know it can be wobbly, how to say, a bit unstable, but it's a lot has to do with the shape of the reed.
Right.
So
when you're coming to let's say you have a busy schedule ahead of you, and you want to have more than one reed to do the same thing, are you kind of trying to make exactly the same reed, or are you making reeds with some variations but then finishing them to try and get to the same place?
I don't use the eyes for that. I just use my feeling. So the feeling I receive from the reed has to be similar, even if, for example, the shape is different or the scraping is different. So I try to adjust the reed to the feeling I want to have the whole time. But I cannot say exactly what I'm doing each time, because each time is different. But I don't know if I answered your question.
No, I guess the clarification there is that, is the feeling that you want always the same?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you say that? Effectively, you're trying to make the same reed.
Yeah.
You're
the same reed, even if they don't look like the same, but the same reed in the feeling, yes.
Right. Okay. Great. And in terms of what it can do as well.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's it from us today. If you want to support these videos, then do become a patron via Patreon. The Practice Circle tier right now is going through, from month to month, major works from the Baroque period where we're doing orchestral excerpts. There are videos every week. There are all sorts of other material, reference recordings, the scores and parts, whatever you need. So if you're interested, this is for you, bassoonists, modern and historical. Have a nice day. Take it easy. Bye-bye.